Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and look, I've been playing a lot of NCAA Football 25. Let me know if you guys want to see content about that game, by the way. I'm having so much fun playing it right now, but I needed to take a break from that because we have to go over some players to keep an eye on in the upcoming Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp. Now, in the last video, I did position battles, or I guess I should say training camp battles that we all should be keeping an eye on. Today, I want to go over some of the players. And I want to start off with number one, Baker Mayfield, right? The $100 million man of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the captain of the team, the probable, at least current franchise quarterback of this team at only 29 years old. Literally just came off of one of the best statistical, if not the best statistical seasons of his career. He had a career high in passing yards and in passing touchdowns, as well as passing attempts. By all metrics, it was the best year for Baker Mayfield ever, and he made the first Pro Bowl of his NFL career as well. The reason I bring him up is because can he keep it going, right? And I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield. I know there are still some people who want to see more from him and see him do better things than what he did last year. And that's going to be a big question, right? You got the big payday, the biggest payday Baker Mayfield far and away has ever had in his career. Can you keep it going now? That is a big, legitimate question that is worth asking, that is worth speculating on, and obviously it's not a guarantee. Work has to be put in, and a new offensive coordinator is going to add just one more wrinkle to that process as well. So I'm going to be curious, and I'm excited to see how Baker Mayfield does going into season number 2 here with the Bucs. Next, I want to talk about Rachaad White, because he is pretty much far and away the starting running back on this team. Last year, again, he had a career year, 990 rushing yards. Basically, everything was doubled for Rachaad White, right? Like a little over twice as many rushing attempts, a little over twice as many yards. The yards per attempt still stayed the same, but twice as many receiving yards, although this a pretty similar amount of targets and receptions, only about 20 and 14 more, or 12 and 14 more respectively in each category. So like Rachaad White was used a ton last year, and I expect that to continue. Yes, Chase Edmonds was brought back. Yes, Bucky Irving is still here, but I do think the Buccaneers like what they have in Rachaad White, again, only at the age of 25 years old as a starting running back, and I think he's going to continue to get a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to be curious to see how that goes along with White and what he is able to do in, again, yet another year as this team's starting running back. Will he finally crack that 1,000-yard rushing metric? A thing that the Buccaneers have not had, I think, going all the way back to the days of Doug Martin back in 2015, I believe. We'll have to wait and see. I've already talked about guys like Trey Palmer and Jalen McMillan in the most recent video that I did. Like, hey, what about Sterling Shepard, man? Are we going to keep an eye on Sterling Shepard? I mean, maybe. Why not? I think this is a guy who could be an interesting, like, fifth wide receiver on this team, has a deep connection with Baker Mayfield from their time together at Oklahoma. He is 31 years old. Might be a fun little backup veteran wide receiver, for the Bucs to have, and who knows, might be something somewhere down the line. I like Sterling Shepard. I've liked him in the past when he was with the Giants. Let's see what he can do now with the Buccaneers. Kadon's going to be another guy. Again, you take a look at what he did throughout this past season in terms of receiving yards, more than he had the previous year. Receptions, more than in 2022. Targets, bit more than in 2022. Now can Cade take that next leap forward? That's going to be a very big question going forward, and can also dictate a lot of what this offense is going to be able to do as well. I'm not really going to talk about the offensive line too much. We've talked about it a good bit. Like, Graham Barton's obviously going to be in that mix. I guess I will point out Graham Barton because he is presumably going to be this team's starting center. He is the most recent first-round draft pick, so of course you should keep an eye on him and on all of the rookies that the Buccaneers have drafted. That just makes sense in my opinion. But there's some other guys in there as well, like Luke Gedeke going into his second year at right tackle. How's that going to look? Cody Mock going into year number 2. How is that going to look? But really, like, we've talked about the offensive line enough in other separate videos. Like, I think we kind of know what we're looking at going forward. The defensive side of things, of course, Kalijah Kancey. See how he's going to be going into year number 2. How is he going to continue to grow and evolve? Pay attention to that. I've talked about some of the defensive linemen in terms of, or pass rushers in terms of Chris Braswell, Anthony Nelson's in that mix, Jose Ramirez is in that mix as well. He's not a rookie, by the way. I don't know why they have him classified as a rookie when he's not Pro Football Reference, but very interesting nonetheless. Randy Gregory, I think, is an interesting name to throw out there. Is he going to show up? And, look, I want him to show up. I want him to play well. I want him to be a productive member of this Buccaneers organization, but, not off to a great start, all things considered, in terms of overall attendance numbers and things along those lines. So that's going to be a big question going forward. I already brought up Logan Hall and Will Golston in the past video. Just to reiterate my point on that, what's that going to look like? Is Logan Hall still going to be the starter this upcoming season? I say yes, but maybe don't count out Will Golston is all I'm saying. Could be very interesting in that mix as well. I then want to talk about KJ Britt. This is a guy where we did address inside linebacker in the training camp battles to watch, but KJ Britt, again, has so much momentum on his side. Right now is the favorite to be the starter, opposite of Levante David, was starting games last year for the Bucs, started 4 regular season games, and started both playoff games for the Bucs as well, so 6 total starts last year in 18, or I guess I should say in 19 total games. He had 6 starts in 19 games. So, that's not for nothing, man. That's not for nothing. And again, much like I've been saying a lot in this video, all statistical categories were the best of his career, if not tied for the best of his career in 2023. So KJ Britt has a lot of momentum on his side. I'm going to be curious to see how he gets along here going into a contract year. Can he be a starter and get a long-term deal from the Bucs? This season may ride heavily on that, so we'll see. A few other guys I want to talk about, Zion McCollum, and I know we've talked about Zion McCollum a lot here on the channel lately, but dude, he's the number 2 cornerback, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. You look at what McCollum is, you look at what he's done so far in the league. I've talked about the advanced stats last year in 2023. When you break it down, he was one of the better members of the Buccaneers secondary last year. I know people like to say he got picked on. I, again, implore you to look at the advanced stats. He allowed less of a completion percentage and a lower passer rating than both Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis last year. In fact, he was, I think, pretty much the second best defensive back, even in some metrics better than Antoine Winfield Jr., started 9 games last year as well. Again, reason they traded Carlton Davis, big reason for that, Zion McCollum is on this roster, and they trust him to start at 6'2", almost 200 pounds, only 25 years old. This is a guy that honestly, if you say he peaks, maxes out on his potential, you're looking at a number 1 corner. But at the very least, he's a solid number 2, a guy that I think you can rely on for multiple years in Tampa Bay. If it does work out, big if, but I am excited about McCollum and what he can do going forward as well. Really, guys, that's kind of it. Pay attention to Chase McLaughlin. I think that it's going to be something worth paying attention to. Can he keep the big momentum that he's had? And, of course, I know there's a lot of, star players to keep an eye on. Right? This is some players that you might not fully be thinking about that do have some storylines surrounding them. You can make a story for every player, right? But McLaughlin, again, far and away his best year as a professional in Tampa Bay. Far and away. Second most field goals he made in his NFL career. Second most field goals attempted, but in terms of percentages, it was the best field goal percentage by 10%, a little over 10%. He has had in his career. And that's based, the second best was the year before with Indianapolis. Can he keep it going? I want to say he can. He did sign an extension with the team, a long-term deal at that. I'm cautiously optimistic about McLaughlin, and I want to see him succeed as well. But guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions about all of the players that I talked about here in this video, from McLaughlin to Zion McCollum to KJ Britt to some of the offensive guys that I brought up. Rashad White's in that, in that conversation. Baker Mayfield, obviously. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions about all of these players that I mentioned, and what are you interested in seeing out of them going forward? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear them. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, guys, I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.